afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 49th edition of Coffee with Ashish. And today we've got a very special guest with us, Pankaj Tripathi from Varnost. And before we get into conversation with him, over the last, and as you may know, Pankaj, next week is going to be a golden jubilee for us. And we will then be moving to an official season two of sorts in October in a slightly new avatar. So it's been a roller coaster of a journey for us to be able to talk to inspiring leaders like yourself. And I think over the course of last 48 conversations or so, which we've had on the show, I think technology for sure has been a key undercurrent in all those conversations. And I think most of the people here would agree that apart from some of the large TMCs or large OTAs, which we all know of, there is a huge amount of need for a normal travel intermediary or a travel agent to also embrace technology, but many of them are actually left clueless. They have apprehensions. They are not sure in terms of how to look at technology, whether it's an investment or a expense of item. They don't know where to start. So in our conversations, we have found this an extremely, sort of a pertinent debate in terms of where to start, how to do. And I think there is an increasing need for organizations, and we have one of them today with us, to be able to actually be a sort of a digital transformation guide of sorts for the organizations to help them go online, get digital. And many people just think digital is, oh, I'll have a website, an app, and I'll have a booking engine, and I'm done, right? But obviously, there are a lot of other things around it. You need to also take care of your digital marketing. There is payment mechanisms and whatnot. So I think there is a huge need for such organizations to come in. Otherwise, I have had so many conversations between me and Ashish. We had so many conversations with old school promoters who really look at digital transformation in a very clinical manner. And in fact, I have a small cartoon to show you how some of those conversations actually end up being. So you start with saying that you don't need to change, then you start to minimize your risk of that change. And then towards the extreme right, you start to think that, can I just change this consultant or my CMO or CXO who has suggested the idea in the first place? And I think that's something, on a more serious note, we need more and more organizations to help the community with. We, in our little way, try to do that through some of the sessions like these. But I think there is a need for a niche play around organized players who can do this. And we are so lucky to have you with us today, Pankaj, and your organization, as many of our viewers may know, Vernos Marketing Technology Solutions actually does this exactly. And they consult. They have a suite of products through which they help in driving digital transformation for companies in the travel and tourism ecosystem. They have a huge suite of products. So I was just going through it. You have something called Club Class to acquire, retain, and engage the customer. So sort of a CRM. You have Make Sense, an intelligence and analytics platform. You've got platforms around loyalty, deals, vouchers, gift cards, campaigns, AI-enabled chatbots, which has been a huge conversational issue on our show, wallets, gamification, loyalty services, and whatnot. And I think overall, the organization were not deals in digital engagement solution, digital payment solution, e-commerce, and getting the travel agents online through a suite of these products and services. And the organization is led by Pankaj Tripathi, our special guest today, who is the founder and CEO of Warner's Marketing Technology Solutions, and also a co-founder of SafeX Pay. He has been a serial entrepreneur and advisor for startups and large companies such as Jet Airways, Intermiles, the Leela Palace Hotels and Resorts, Zycus, Fly Dubai, and more than 10 SME retailers. He's a extremely sharp, focused, results-oriented business professional, and he's got over 2 decades of experience in high-end travel technology, e-commerce businesses, payments platforms, CRM, and loyalty. So I think that's exactly what we were talking about, right? Not only just the booking engine, but loyalty, CRM, payments. That end-to-end view is very few people in the industry I have come across. Pankaj, I am an outsider, but I've seen very few people in the industry who understand this end-to-end view. So I think we are very lucky to have you today to have this conversation. Pankaj has also successfully handled numerous, large-scale enterprise projects in India and global markets. He's a domain specialist in travel, fintech, payments, blockchain, loyalty, and hospitality industry with an impeccable track record of execution and delivering value to his clients. In the travel domain, his expertise lies in travel distribution, operations, and back office, both B2B and B2C distribution capabilities for vast suite of products of air, hotel, cars, tours, and GDS. And he started his humble beginnings as a software engineer in IBM and a stint in Jet Airways, where he was responsible for technology architecture and operations for jetairways.com. And from that, it's been a fantastic journey, and we really hope to sort of derive some insights from your cross-functional expertise of travel, technology, fintech, payments, all those getting amalgamated together. So with this, a very warm welcome to you, Pankaj, on our show. We are really honored to have you with us. And I'm going to now request Ashish to have a conversation with you while I sit back and enjoy my coffee.
Thanks a ton, Karthik, for this introduction. I mean, it's something which I myself didn't realize when you spoke so much. Yeah, I mean, but from Varna's perspective, the divisions which you picked up are really in line actually what you picked up. Thanks for that, Karthik. Thanks for the introduction.
Right. So, Pankaj, while you're enjoying your coffee in Dubai, obviously
Yeah.
there've been various debates here on shifting consumer behavior. What would the consumer look like? What would he want out of his various products and services? But coming back to technology, one of our biggest issues, of course, has been how do we encourage consumer demand to be revived? So how do you see technology encouraging that demand in the first place? And secondly, of course, once you have encouraged the demand, you being in the loyalty business, conversely, how you keep his loyalty with you? What are your thoughts around that?
Okay. So, see, technology plays a big role in everybody's life today. I mean, needless to say that each one of us, right from our phone, which is the entire thing starts from there. Technology makes a big impact, and technology also drives a lot of things, whether it's your aircraft, whether it's your travel bookings, or whether it's your loyalty engagement. So Ashish, I have seen that a lot of people in India specifically think that technology is just there, but technology is still a long way to go. I mean, technology is also evolving as we speak. Many things happen around technology in our areas, but we don't really understand and give due credit to it. And technology drives each and everything right from your car, right from your travel which you pick up, your customer engagement, loyalty, giving just points or doing anything around it. It's not just as simple as that things work out. Technology drives, technology starts, technology ends your conversation, technology ends makes you take your decisions. Like one of the conversations which I was hearing between you and Nikhil Ganju, that where Karthik was talking about the reviews which he was, that all those algorithms, all those calculations, it helps you to take decisions. And the entire economy today, the way it has been, struggling because of COVID, technology is going to play a big role to look at what is next. I mean, today's scenario, if it has to really end and travel has to be back with a bang, technology will play one of the biggest role, right from searching from Google, or booking from with the large players like Make My Trip, or a consumer driven loyalty player like Intermiles. It is going to make a big difference, Ashish.
Yeah. And the other factors being the fintech platforms. I mean, I've watched that with great interest as to how these platforms have. Well, look at Paytm. It's like become a mini OTA by itself. But it hasn't come as a great surprise, I must tell you. Although I need your views.
Karthik, are we losing Ashish?
Yes, Ashish, we're not able to hear you.
You see it because
Ashish, we are losing you.
when I was the CEO for Reliance from the source, we had a platform we call that get one get one large.
Ashish, we missed
Pankaj,
your
there's
network
something with
is
your
not.
internet.
Your
Yeah.
internet is not.
Ashish, we are not able to
Ashish,
hear
your
you.
internet is weak. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I just repeat this. I mean, how do you see the fintech and the route fintech companies have taken in terms of travel distribution? With Paytm itself being an example, which is it's really become a mini OTA by itself, at least when it comes to train tickets and air tickets and so on. Do you see merit in this? Do they see becoming a larger distribution platform?
Yeah, so what I understand is how does a fintech play a role as somebody like Paytm, who's been a fintech player,
Yeah.
they become a mini OTA itself. That's what you're asking, Ashish?
Yeah, yeah. What is the role they play going forward? Not only Paytm, but there are quite a few. There's Spice Money, there's Paytm, there's Money on Mobile. There are quite a few I've heard of.
So yeah, so basically these are all your digital wallets of fintech players. What they do is they create a space in your life by having a space in your mobile. Because out of your 24 hours in a day, at least 16 hours you spend on your mobile phone in whatever shape and form. Once you create that space on your phone, I mean, that's what Paytm has done. It has created a space, in your mobile phone. Then it's a matter of, how do we market, how do we sell, how do we actually engage with the customers, and travel like mini OTA today. If you have to ask me specifically when it comes to an OTA or a travel, ATM doesn't come in my mind, but yes, when the value players, somebody is trying to drive a value out of travel in terms of costing, the biggest thing comes always is how can I get my cash back? I mean, the value is not only about the transaction. And then the seamless booking experience also is driven by how do you do your payments seamlessly. That's what these fintech players are doing today. Not only at Paytm level, Ashish, if you and some of the things I'm observing here in Dubai is, the transactions on the Apple Watch or a Samsung Watch has significantly gone up is because the touchless payments. So what is the fintech role going to be in future is uh, uh, driven by, your sense of social distancing, your sense of, hygiene. And there are players who actually are, putting all bits and pieces around post-COVID environment. And the fintech is also like I'm also a shareholder in SafeXPay, and I see there the number of transactions has jumped, 4x, 5x since COVID has happened. It's simply because people want to shop online more. They want to spend instead of doing a card payment, they are doing their net banking or wallet transactions. And this is all driven by people like you and me. We want to be safe. We want to be at a place where and tomorrow if somebody is traveling, as I mean, traveling to Dubai or US or anywhere else, the habits are not going to change. And more fintech players like Paytm or SafeXpay or anybody else is going to be in the market and drive this from the perspective of your entire experience around travel booking to your during your travel, your post your travel, your activities, your excursions, all of those things will have an element of fintech coming. All those, the cash economy is also going to be. I mean, it's already going down the hill since demonetization, but COVID has put a large influx around, creating a safety for everybody, safety net around how you want to travel, where do you want to travel, how do you want to pay, and how do you want to be safe. Even at hotels, in Dubai or even in India, the fintech is largely driven by users rather than the property chains or any travel. So the entire experience around loyalty, travel, and fintech, all three domains is evolving in a very large scale. Nobody knows what's going to be, Ashish, after COVID, but today's world is looking forward to it. How can I have the better experience post COVID, and how can I have the experience what used to be before COVID? Mixing together, my safety, my hygiene is very, very important.
Yeah, and conversely, look at their reach. I mean, a guy sitting in Darbanga who has a, say, a wallet, a payment wallet, for example, is able to access everything on the platform as, so it's not necessarily he has to find a
Yeah.
website which is going to now to log in. So, the reach does give it. So, and I guess the normal travel intermediaries would have to accept that the fintech as a channel of distribution is here to stay and in fact here to grow. But coming back,
Yes.
uh, the term technology, digitalization is pretty loosely uh, reflected and is bundled together when you speak. But you and I both know they have two distinct ways about it. But what is the meaning of digitalization as far as the travel industry is concerned, both during and post COVID to you? How would you define that?
Yeah, so it's interesting stuff. Ashish. Most of our TMCs and DMCs today, also in today's environment, also have not thought really the digital transformation. I mean, for them, it's most of the time, like Karthik was saying, that it's just a website you can book or something like that. But digital transformation plays a key role in the TMC's environment, because today the most of these people, when they're doing booking or when their customers are traveling, they have no clue. I mean, today's world, why somebody like Make My Trip or anybody has come up so strongly while the offline industry has not gone off. It made a change to the travel agents, to TMCs and DMCs to come up online, was not just for selling but also giving them the value again and giving them an offers, giving them a variety. Somebody sitting in Darbhanga is actually being able to book a really good offer sitting, in Darbhanga, and booking for somebody in US, is because the technology is enabling that. I mean, there are virtual tourisms coming up these days. The alternative accommodations is now going to be powered more by OTTs, and all of those things. If our TMC doesn't look at giving or selling to their customers, it's going to be very very difficult. And one of our customers, Ashish, I don't want to name them, based out of Bahrain,
Right.
one of the largest TMCs. They had a lot of softwares around travel agencies and different aspects. And what they realized in the end is that I have these, but it is just not adding any value. But because it's all running in different directions, all are meeting one piece or the other, but it is not transforming my technology in an environment where I can actually look at everything holistically. We got in with them a year and a half back, and today is, I mean, they haven't still gone live because of COVID. But the vision was correct, and it's coming from the younger generation there. The vision is correct that we have to digitally transform first before we actually start looking the fruits of it. And it does come with a price. It's not just one of those booking tools, or one of those payment gateways or a booking engine that doesn't solve anything. You have to look at holistically. And today's 20th century, the data is the new oil. I mean, needless to say that how oils are performing. But if you have the data, you are able to rightly market your customers, rightly retain your customers, rightly engage and give them the value they're looking at. It's not just selling one ticket which anybody has looked at.
Yeah, when you say data being the new oil, for Reliance, the oil has become data.
Exactly. I mean, nothing better can define Geo being the new oil. I mean, it's beating heads down. The kind of investments are coming through. It's not for the oil. I mean, if you understand what I mean to say.
Yeah. But you mentioned virtual tourism. I mean, do you see, and if
Did we lose Ashish
how do
again?
you see the shape and future uh, virtual tourism?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
hear me, Pankaj?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So
here.
the
I'm here.
virtual you mentioned virtual. You mentioned virtual tourism, and the fact is, how do you see it? Is it a myth? Is it a reality? And if it's a reality, to what extent and where? Let's just translate it into practical terms.
I think it's an experimentation, Ashish. Honestly, I mean, during COVID times, we all have lot of time to spend on YouTubes and OTTs and stuff like that. And I like to engage and see new things. That's what if you see my profile as well, I have been somebody who's kept myself ahead of the curve always and looked at newer stuff. Virtual tourism and virtual reality and virtual tourism can come along, but it has to be that feel of travel. Today, uh, the entire economy, if the planes don't fly, is not going to be back to where it used to be. So can virtual reality help? It is a temporary phenomena, I feel, but this temporary phenomena can actually create something for future. So experiential stuff which the amusement parks have. those will start selling more because a lot of people were not even aware of. I mean, in Dubai, I see a lot of places this virtual reality exists today in some shape and form. But does people know about it? They don't know. They know that we can do something about it. We can have some fun. But what COVID is doing is it is actually making people experiment. Some of the retailers I've seen, they are able to sell because of some virtual realities. One of our e-commerce domain customer is actually planning to do something around virtual reality where you can see your jewelry, how does it look like before you buy. Those are things which is going to be also experimented with virtual tourism as well, because virtual the tourism is not just about traveling and be at leisure. People travel, they buy stuff at different countries, they buy jewelries, they buy certain fashion stuff, various stuff which comes into when you travel. So I'm seeing some kind of experimentation people are trying, especially bloggers, video bloggers. They are trying out certain things in some shape and form. It is picking up post COVID. I think it right now it will have a peak, and then maybe post COVID it will settle down. It will create new areas of tourism for sure, Ashish. That's what the guess is. You can't predict, but I think so far whatever I've predicted during COVID has gone right. So let's see if this works out or not.
Yeah, it will certainly, I think, stimulate interest and demand. I remember being an 8-year-old, and my dad owned one of those Kodak. It a disc, and you turned it, and you could see all nice, fancy pictures of Mount Fuzias or various other tourists. And they were still very vivid in my mind. And I was still trying to remember what I saw it. Coming back to it, uh, let's just go practically to the mice industry. There's been a lot of debate. The mice industry has been debating on its own because they've been under severe challenge. People have been saying, oh, banquets are out of the business. Or they've been saying, we don't see incentive groups for Samsungs and LGs as they used to go before going again, and so on and so forth. Or product launches going the way it was. So, you've taken great interest in the mice activity. And we know that penetration in the mice industry, at least in the present terms. How does it evolve from here?
So as I guess, because you're breaking up, Ashish, you're asking about the
The
mice
mice,
industry.
how
Yeah.
does it evolve from here?
Yeah. So again, Ashish, mice from my thinking perspective, they will be back with bang. There's no way that virtual mice can actually happen. The whole concept of mice is it starts with meetings, and these meetings are mostly driven by people coming along from various places, meeting each other. These virtual meetings always existed. Right now, there is an influx and there is a issues both actually around how things come up together again. Short businesses, short meetings, people coming along is happening. What is going to happen post COVID or in the immediate future? I am seeing certain MICE activities already starting up in Dubai. There's an event which airline event happens annually from the loyalty perspective. Is actually physically happening in October. I mean, there are people already coming. They are doing so. It will become more of a safety measure. It will not be like companies used to send 4 or 5 people. Though that will reduce. It will be more longish. It will not be like 1 or 2 days. It will be a different experience altogether, but it is not going to go out of business for sure, Ashish, because mice is also one of the large elements around travel. Technology perspective, yes, when the way mice was conducted was simply certain directions, certain places you go, register. All of those things will become very heavily app driven, very heavily technology driven. Social distancing norms, like if two people are coming closer in this particular event, I've been privy to certain technologies working with certain countries government where they are looking at something coming up next year. Is this year used to be Expo 22, 2020 is a large mice event. So those are things which will evolve. But right now, the stress point being in the mice industry, one of the very large driver in the travel tourism and travel business is badly affected, but they will be back with bang. I mean, there's no questions about it. They will be back with bang. This virtual mices and all is all temporary, Ashish. It's all temporary.
Yeah, talking about events and being in the UAE, what's the buzz like for the IPL?
It's big time. I mean, right now it's being conducted without audiences, but hotels, the evening lounges was all full because people want to come together and watch it together with a mug, beer mug. That's happening. I mean, it's just a matter of time giving permission that out of 100, 20 people can start coming. I think it's on card in coming weeks, and that's gonna happen. I mean, you cannot. I mean, humans are social. You can restrict them, but you cannot completely cut them. So that's gonna happen, and these are good signs which I'm personally seeing. Which will drive a lot of aspects around economy and technology detection of your temperature or looking at different aspects around technology of your payments within the stadium. All of those things are getting implemented. Without technology, fighting COVID is not possible, Ashish.
Right, right. The last time I remember speaking to you on the phone, or
Ashish, technology
You're
also needs an
breaking
update.
up.
and
Ashish, you're breaking
I
up.
detected a certain amount of passion after the connection. Yeah, yeah. So can you hear me now?
Yes, Ashish, we can.
Okay. So I think last time we were speaking on the phone, and when I mentioned startups and what we were trying to do in terms of mentoring them, etc. I mean, there was a certain amount of passion I detected in your tone when I mentioned that. Obviously, there is a passion around it, but I've also believed few things that the startups which I have seen in the travel technology space have pretty much evolved on their own. I've always felt that there was a room for them to actually integrate properly in the existing ecosystem, to collaborate and to move forward jointly. Because the existing system has been a very transactional system. And if these guys were building some experiential around it, experience and transaction could merge together. But that's my view. What do you see is the startup syndrome going from here, including the VC funding and so on after this?
Yeah, so startups, so more and more startups will come, Ashish. Like a lot of startups are also going down. They were not able to sustain the onslaught of funds which dried up because of COVID. But lot more startups are coming up. A lot of innovative startups are coming up. I mean, necessity is mother of all inventions, and that's what I'm seeing. Couple of startups I'm almost deciding to mentor them around what they're doing on the travel technology and fintech side. There is a new wave which of startups are coming. Funding it dried down initially. I mean, what happened in first quarter, second quarter, you can say funding died down heavily. But funding is always available to right startup, right thought, and right people. And I tell everybody, this whenever there's a startup to be funded, it's first funded for the people who they are, and then the thought process. It cannot be, you have a thought process of building something, but you don't have the right identity. It doesn't start. Every VC or anybody like you and me will first put the money on the right person, and then it evolves around, what you're trying to do, technology, what is the process which you're building. There are certainly very good startups coming up, Ashish. I'm meeting a lot of people. A lot of people need help because startup ecosystem, what it used to be pre-COVID, has evolved more. But the fundings to those startups, which used to be like, you need a small support around, $100,000 or $50,000, those are dying down because the burn ratio, what anybody used to look at, in the beginning, those are actually being relooked at it. The startups, the biggest startup I call Reliance Jio,
Yeah,
they have abundance of funding available because I mean they're really a startup and funded
yeah,
by a large conglomerate. And today, if you see for the right data availability company or right technology and the right future, funding is not an issue. I mean the largest funding anybody could gather in this pandemic is Reliance Jio, and if you look them as a startup point of view by a very large valuable person leading the organization, it changes. Similarly, like Airbnb, if you see they went the downhill because their IPO, everything got postponed, their valuations went down, but they are coming up again. So, and similar, there are a lot of startups around now, bots around technology, the startups around bots in the hotel premises, cleaning the rooms, various things which is coming up big time, Ashish. And what right down has started to see light of the day, and a couple of good startups which is able to measure your consumers, your travel and fintech together are really really happening around.
Right, right. And even from secondary towns, I mean, one of my favorite phrases, Karthik will bear with me, is being that I like to see another Make My Trip coming out of Shillong. And why not?
Absolutely.
You know, at least the sum of many parts, if not one. But
Yeah.
lastly, before I pass you back to Karthik, if he has something to say, just one word and thoughts on the industry being so, travel industry being so fragmented. Do you see consolidation happening in a larger perspective?
Absolutely, Ashish. Consolidation is one of the things which, irrespective of COVID, was happening. And there's some sort of consolidation was already happening from the distribution of content perspective. If you look at TBO or uh, Ease My Trips or all these people, what they started doing was consolidating content and giving it to people instead of giving people, somebody like me taking it from 10 people. I started taking from one person. The content consolidation was anyways happening. From the company perspective, like you look at, I think Varun was also one of your coffee airline technologies,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
various companies in a tech perspective and various uh, content suppliers are getting consolidated because what has happened is this COVID has given a chance to everybody to look at their balance sheets, everybody to look at their appetite to burn. It has also given everybody to relook at within themselves what is right, rather than just burning the cash. It's better to consolidate, give a better value to the customers, not just better value, which the value which will actually redefine the entire travel industry. And as I said, Ashish, uh, travel plays a significant role in the economy to drive upwards. If planes are not in the sky, economy will not go ahead. Economy needs planes to be in the sky, hotels to be full, destinations to be buzzing, and all of these things needs technology, fintech, all of those things coming together, and of course an online shop, which can be a travel, which can be an online shop for somebody like Tanish, who's been selling virtually a lot of stuff online. So as I said, it is required, and consolidation is happening already, Ashish.
great. So, Pankaj, it's been nice speaking to you. And enjoy. You're going to be in Dubai for a while, coming back, or you're going to be here for a while?
Very soon, I think a couple of weeks, I'll be back. I mean, the intention is to be safe and healthy. That's the reason I'm delaying right now. Don't see. So every 2 weeks, I'm extending by 2 weeks. That's what I'm doing.
Right, right, right. So I'll catch up with you physically at some stage. But meanwhile, thank you, and over to Karthik with the other part. Karthik,
Thanks a ton, Ashish. It's been pleasure having coffee with you.
pleasure. Yeah, yeah, it is. It is.
Great listening to you, Pankaj. Just a passing note, if you may have for so a lot of our audience members are medium-sized travel agents as well, and many of them are second guessing that some of them had already taken the road to digital transformation, and some of them were wondering, what could be a Sundar Sasta Tikau solution in current times for technology,
SST.
SST. So, what is your short advice to them? Should they just wait and watch, or should they use this time to do at least some bits of work in digital transformation so that when things get better, they are able to better capitalize on that opportunity?
So they should, Karthik. I have some US clients, and we are seeing they're preparing already post COVID. They're using this time to build post COVID and strong solutions around corporate, strong solution around leisure. See, irrespective of international travel happening or not, but domestic travel is going to pick up. It's already picked up. I mean, in many countries with continents like Europe, and domestic travel in India or US has picked up big time. Country like Dubai, I mean, which is always dependent on the international tourism, the local consumption and domestic tourism staycations have really shot up. Nobody could imagine something like that will happen. So my advice to all of these travel agents is look at your customer base, be in touch with them, build something for them on technology, not just by selling them tickets. Use this time. This time is not only about sitting and watching YouTube and OTTs and doing video calls with family. Use this time to build for it. And SST Sundar Sasta Tikao is many things available in India. Don't just fall for it. Many players are there who just try to give it for free. Also, it doesn't work. Things which is free always remains free, and it doesn't have any warranty. So it's better that you can start with premium like Amazon Prime and move it to premium plan. That's my advice to everybody, Karthik.
Great. I think they'll all appreciate this. And with this, we are completely out of time. Thank you so much, Pankaj, for joining us today and sparing your time. Thanks, Ashish, as always. And thank you, our
I have
audience,
one
for
thing
joining.
to say to
Yeah, yeah, please.
Ashish. Ashish, I feel like, on this coffee with Ashish, I'm on a couch, which is the famous coffee with Karan, but I really feel nice talking to you. And what you have created, Ashish, this entire uh, new IPR around this is really great, great work. And this should go a long way. Irrespective, it started because of COVID, but we should continue this. Maybe a face-to-face coffee, we should do. The 49th episode is with me. Maybe when post-COVID, you should start and we should have a face-to-face coffee with conversations with Ashish.
Pankaj, I look forward
Really
to that,
enjoy.
of course. But talking about the couch and the coffee, I hope certain quarters in Mumbai are not listening because they've got their eyes everywhere these days. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank you,
catch
Thanks,
up
Ashish.
again.
Pankaj.
Thank you, Karthik.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.